Welcome once again. In the first part, we dealt with the concept of communication by taking an example. Now here in the second part, that is part B, let us look at the process of communication because which is very important to understand how communication takes place. Now, when we look at the process, how actually does it take place? Let us look at the diagram over here. Here you can see that there are few contents or few words which are there on the slide. There is something which you can see where it is written as source, and then on the other end there is something that is written as receiver, and in between you can see a channel which is shown by an arrow. Between the source and the channel, the message that the sender has to send, or the source, that is the origin of the message, is given into form of an encoded version. The channel is utilized to send this message, and before the receiver receives it, there is a process of decoding also which starts taking place. Now between the sender and the receiver, there is a probability of interference that can take place. Now when we took the example of the coffee shop, there was one question which came to the mind, whether there was any disturbance around when you were listening to the narrative. So that can be called as an interference, which can either elevate positively the interest of the receiver to understand the message better, or at times it works negatively and it can lead to improper decoding of the message, and the receiver may end up getting a wrong information. Now there is a constant feedback also which keeps on taking place between the sender and the receiver when it comes to how the message is being sent. Now when we look at the individual contents over here, let us look at what does source actually mean. The source, or the sender in this case, comes up with an idea and sends a message in order to share information with others. Now the source can be one person or can be a group of people also. So it need not be that only an individual can be a sender. It can be a group of individuals who would be wanting to send an information to somebody else. Again, can be an individual or group of individual. So what exactly would they want to send? A message. Now, the type of message, when I say the type of message, that is the information or the subject matter or the content that the source is intending to share is called as a message. Now, depending upon whether it is a formal setup, whether it is an informal setup, whether it is a meeting, whether it is a group discussion, whether it is an interview, the information can be an opinion. It can be transmitted into form of feelings, maybe some instructions, some requests, or even suggestions, ideas. So anything that an individual or individuals try to send it to somebody else for the purpose of understanding becomes a message. Now, you have the source, you have the message, but how do you send it? So for that, you may need a channel. Now, the source may encode information into the form of any words, images, sounds, body language, anything for that matter. And there are many definitions and categories of communication channels to describe their role in the communication process. Now, what are these channels? When I say channels, here we talk about how the sender is able to send a message to the receiver into what form. It can be using channels like a verbal channel, a non-verbal, a written format, or even for that matter, digital. What I'm doing right now is a channel of digital information that I am transmitting to you out here. So this becomes a channel. I am the source here. What I'm sharing with you is an information or the subject matter that I want to share, and this digital setup is my channel. So when I have a channel, I should have a receiver, and the receiver here is nobody, nothing than you people who are receiving the message, and the information that you are receiving here is for some use. So you will decode this and try to understand as per how you are understanding the message. So you make an attempt to understand the intentions of the source. Why do you want to understand what I'm trying to tell you? The purpose is to acquire knowledge. So this becomes really very, very important. Now, whether the environment is going to play a role, yes, it will. When I say environment, I'm talking about the physical and the psychological space in which the communication is happening. Right now, when you are listening to me, had there been any disturbance around me, I wouldn't be able to record this session and send it to you. So it can definitely interfere with this particular channel of sending the communication. Now, when I say psychological space, the state of mind in which an individual is going to understand the message or try to contemplate on the message, the state of mind will decide whether the person is able to decode it properly or not. Now, it can also be dependent on whether the space is a formal or an informal space. When I say that, I mean to say, if it is between two individuals who are having a formal kind of discussion on something very important, the psychological space, the thought process that an individual has may be different. And in the case of that coffee shop example, which we saw in the previous case, it was an informal setup. So the psychological space that every individual had was different. So yes, the environment will definitely play a role. Now, what is a context? The context is the setting, the scene, and psychological and psychosocial expectations of the source and receiver or receivers. Now, this is strongly linked to the expectations of those who are sending the message and those who are receiving the message. That means I'm trying to send a message to you with some expectations that you are going to understand what I'm trying to send to you. But how you are going to interpret, understand is absolutely dependent on the setup in which you are going to receive this. So the context also plays a very important role. So environment and context at times go linked with each other whenever the message is to be received or message is to be sent. So they go interlinked with each other at times. Now, what is interference? Now, again, the third thing which is linked with context as well as environment. So interference, or you can say that interference is a broader thing, and environment and context can become a part of interference. So interference, also called as noise. Now, what basically when I say interference, it is something that is negatively used majority of the times. That means something that will inhibit effective communication. Now, what is effective communication? You can say that effective communication has taken place only when the message that the sender wanted to send is received in the same manner, understood in the same manner by the receiver. So that is called as effective communication. But this can be hampered by poor audio quality or too much sound, maybe poor image quality, too much or too little light, or even attention, etc. Now, how are these things going to play a role? So these things comprise of the environment. If my slide would not have been properly written, if the fonts were smaller, if the audio quality was bad, if the image quality was bad, if while recording there would not have been so visibility, so definitely it is going to lead to some kind of disturbance of what I want to transmit to you and what you are going to receive from this. Your attention, yes, your attention will definitely play an important role. So if I am trying to talk things which are not interesting, your attention is going to get diverted. So attention span can definitely be an interference. And there are many more also. So on basis of all these things, there's something which is very important, that is feedback. When you respond to the source intentionally or unintentionally, you are giving feedback. Now, feedback is composed of messages the receiver sends back to the source, maybe into form of verbal or non-verbal. Feedback also provides an opportunity for the receiver or audience to ask for clarification, to either agree or disagree, or to indicate that the source could make the message more interesting. Now, as the amount of feedback increases, the accuracy of communication also increases. Now, in my previous slide and in this slide, I purposefully kept two sentences over each other. Now, this can act as an interference, can distract you, can lead to some kind of shift of your attention as to trying to read it with some kind of stress as to what is written over here. So this is how communication also gets affected. That if there is any kind of interference, it is definitely going to lead some kind of improper receive of message by the receiver. So feedback is very important. Feedback is to let people know that what was being sent has been received the rightful way and has been understood the rightful way. So I'm sure that you've understood the process of communication. So thank you. And in the second part, that is module 1.2, we'll try to look at the different modes of communication. So we need to know how communications take place. So we need to know different methods of communication. So in 1.1 part A, we studied concept of communication. In 1.1 part B, a very important thing, that is process of communication. And now in 1.2, we'll study about methods of communication. Thank you.